Hello again, everyone. Mr. Analyst, welcome again to the show, to another episode here. Of course, I'm the host, and tonight we're going to be talking to a very special guest. Before we get to that, please subscribe to the channel. Please leave your comments beneath, and of course, leave an idea if you want us to do something that you think we should be doing, like an interview, or get somebody you want to hear from. Let us know. Tonight's guest started playing for the West Indies way back in 2003. In fact, if I remember correctly, I had an interview with him at the poolside of the Jamaica Pegasus before he actually stepped onto the pitch to play for the West Indies. We're talking about Jerome Taylor. 46 tests, 130 test wickets, 91 day internationals, 128 wickets, and 33 T20 wickets. And unfortunately, only five IPL matches, but we'll talk about that in the next few minutes. Jerome, thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure seeing you after all these years because it's been a while.
Thanks, Leighton, for having me. It's a pleasure being here on the program.
Yeah, man. So Jerome, talk to me. What is Jerome Taylor up to these days? It's been a while since you retired from the West Indies and retired from cricket. And you're still a young man. You're just what, 41?
Yeah, that's correct.
Mm. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
so what have you been up to?
Jerome Taylor is just being up to what he normally gets done. Still giving back to cricket.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? After being a player for over 15 years and um, still pretty young, as you say. So I find love in giving back to cricket, and so I'm on the other side of the fence now where I'm pursuing my career in coaching
Hmm.
as well, because like I said, being a good servant of the game and with someone who have a bit of knowledge of the game as well, I only think it is only imperative for me to impart the knowledge onto the younger generation of cricketers to come.
All right. So yeah, so today we want to focus a little bit because we don't have a long stretch of time. So I want to get into the meat of things. In your career, one of the things that I was always impressed by was the impact you made while playing for the West Indies, even when you're starting as because you started as a teenager playing for the West Indies. I don't think you were 20 yet when you
No, I
started playing for the
started
West Indies.
I started at 18 years.
Yeah, yeah, because I remember sitting next to you, and I was like, you still have, as them say, the panic on your voice. So, you know, but you virtually made an immediate impact. I mean, even in the first one day international, I think it was against Sri Lanka, I'm trying to remember. And I think you took two wickets, and you're pretty impressive in the field as well. What is it that you think allowed you to adapt to international play as quickly as you did? Because it's not usual, yes, yeah, a schoolboy cricketer coming through, being selected as quickly as you were, because I think you had played one match and then they called you into the squad. What
Well,
was it?
actually, I played for the entire season. I didn't play all the games in the season, but
Mm,
I completed a season of first class
yeah.
cricket. But if I should be honest with you, as a kid growing up, I had the privilege of playing among some of West Indies top players at the time.
Mm,
In the dressing room, we would have a Wavell Hines, a Chris Gayle, a Marlon Samuels, Jermaine Lawson to some extent, Darren Powell, and guided by the captaincy of our own Robert Samuels at the time,
mm,
who is very knowledgeable about the game. So
absolutely.
I was knocking head with people who think cricket and they were deep in their thoughts when they think about cricket. So in a sense, I was one who eager to learn, and hence the reason why I always pick in the brain of those players. So I think I went searching for information, and in a sense, by talking to them, it only fall into play just for me to adapt to the higher level of cricket and the demands that the cricket might require.
Mm. Okay, I think you came in at the same time as Phil Edwards, right? Or within that same window.
Yeah, we were there. I started just a game before him. I played in
Mm.
St. Lucia. He catched a flight with us going to Jamaica for the second day.
Yeah. What was that like, though? I mean, both of you young coming into the team for the first time and pretty much leading the attack because even in Jamaica, I think Phil was opening the bowling in Jamaica at Savannah Park, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he did. To be honest with you, he and I have been long-standing friends. we had been to a couple of bowling camps before we actually got selected for the West Indies. So we met and we knew each other before that. So it was pretty easy for us to get together in the team and to share that dressing room again, which we once had in camps playing against and playing with each other. So it was one of the feeling. To be honest with you, when I got called up and then realized that he was picked shortly after, it actually dawned on me like, okay, yes, this probably a Courtney Ambrose, Courtney Walsh kind of partnership
Mm-hmm.
there and then. So I was very, very elated for that because I earmarked two players at the time that I would probably want to work with, one Infidel Edwards and Ravi Rampal, just to bring back that Courtney Walsh and
Mm-hmm.
Ambrose kind of partnership, so to speak. So yeah, that was very good on that part. But like I said, we knew each other before we got called up.
Yeah, I want to fast forward a little bit though, because, you know, look, as I told you, I wanted to talk to you about some specific things that you accomplished in your career. You know, the hat trick in the Champions Cup that you pretty much won the match for the West Indies against Australia, who looked like they were likely to win that match. But I wanted to start with a match that I really wanted to start with this match primarily because it was a match I think that made the biggest impact for me and really made me a fan of Jerome Taylor. That match at Savannah Park, it was Savannah Park when the West Indies beat England by an innings and I think it was 23 runs. And you took 5 wickets. You literally ripped through the English batting in the second innings, with England being bowled out for 51, I think it was, when after they made a 318 in the first innings.
Mhm.
Going into that match, Jerome, what was the mindset? Because at the time, the West Indies were still very competitive. We weren't winning as much, but we're still competitive in matches. Did you go into that match as a but then you were pretty seasoned? But going into that match, you were thinking this was a match that we could win, or was this a match that was going to be where the English were going to be, because they had a strong team. They had Kevin Peterson, they had Strauss, they had a very strong batting lineup. What was the mindset going into that match?
Well, to be honest with you, that's a good question. I am one who is always of a positive mindset, and I think your mindset is a strength, So I've always been optimistic about cricket games. I've never gone into a cricket game thinking, okay, yes, we're gonna lose this one. I don't care the
Mm-hmm.
opposition. I don't care who they are, because the rudiments of cricket does not change. It's bat versus ball, and if you're equal to your opponent, then who knows? You just need
Mm-hmm.
probably two, three good sessions and you could take a game away and that would be it. So I've always been of the positive mindset, but to be honest with you, it's your attitude towards the game and your preparation. That is what
Mm-hmm.
take you to the next level. And I'm someone who pride myself on preparation. If I go to prepare, I want to prepare accordingly. And if I don't feel as if I have enough, I will still be at it until I get what I'm really looking for. So it's about the mindset and the attitude towards the game. You want to change in the way that you want to play as well. So it becomes a lot easier for you to just repeat what you have done in training in the actual playing game.
So what was the pitch like? If you remember, West Indies made 318 in the first innings. I mean, England made 318 in the first innings, and it looked like a good batting pitch. West Indies responded with 392. I think Chris Gale, and I'm trying to remember who else made 100. It was Gale and Sarwan that made 100 in that match.
Yeah,
Did
and I
you?
know Gail got some runs. Look, I think that's one thing about me as a bowler. Bowling on flat pitches was never a bother for me, so to speak.
Mm,
Because I'm someone who's gonna be always coming after your stumps. That is my thing. I'm gonna bowl after a stick. I could tell you that much. I'm not
mm,
one who's gonna hang the ball for very long, waiting for you to play that foul shot. I'm gonna force that error out of you. And as you rightfully said, it was a good batting deck, but it goes back to the whole thing of, okay, even though it's good, you have to be wanting it. Your attitude towards everything. And I think at that time I was more like wanting the player to play.
mm,
Earlier, having a new ball in my hand, that is my weapon. I have always been thinking that, okay, I need to knock two or three of these men out before this ball starts to get a little bit older.
mm,
But even though so, whenever I have the ball in my hand, like I said earlier, I am at the stick. So I'm gonna force all the options that's getting you out to come into
mm.
play,
Yeah.
and it paid dividend for me.
Yeah, because as I said, West Indies had a slight lead going into the second innings, and then of course you you just exploded in the second innings. You had England down. I think you took four of the first 5 wickets. I think Sulu and Ben had taken one of the early wickets, but then you were either getting people out caught behind LBW or bold, and you were lethal. Did you is that it was it like like you were in a zone in those moments where the ball was coming out right, everything was just clicking for you on that in those moments?
Yes, it honestly was doing that because like I said, the preparation leading up to that, I felt as if though I was an oil machine. I cannot pinpoint that I had a niggle here or there. The mind was clear. It was about just me and the execution on that given day. And with the ball in hand and you started out well, trust me, once you get into that rhythm, then it's game over. I was always
Mhm.
going to be on point. I was always going to be there. The batter would have to get the better of me, irrespective of what was happening on the day. If you take a chance, you play the shot, then that's fine. Let's see how many times you can do that. And I think with the crop of our players now, our bowling attack, yes, it is very, very good, where I can say it can compete. And I just think and I hope that these players will continue to work hard and train as hard, prepare. Like I said, prepare the way that you want to play. Put your effort in, you will get your reward.
You got rid of Cook, you got rid of Strauss, you got rid of Collingwood, you got rid of Pryor. But the wicket that I think was probably most impressive for most people was that ball that cleared the stumps from Kevin Peterson, because he is probably the most at the time was probably the most dangerous batsman. And your reaction, I remember that very clearly. You took off and it was a whole for celebration and that energy. I mean, for me, watching it, it was extremely exciting watching that off stump cartwheel. What was your feeling when that happened, Jerome? Because it's not often, it's one of the sweetest things when you're possible and you hit the stump the way you did. What was that feeling like?
Honestly, yes, it was a proud moment for me. One, the person I got out. Two, because he can be very destructive, and at that particular time, not just myself, but the entire team. We knew that from we got Kevin Peterson out, then we in with a chance for the game. So even if people were doubting it, the doubters would have been like, yes, it is possible now. So yeah, that wicket after lunch, I think it really bring or build the spirit and the energy in the team as well. So
Mhm.
yes, that one will stay with me for a while. But for me, the wicket of the game for me was not Pryor.
Yeah? Why? Tell to
Yeah,
me.
I
Because
mean he
I,
was
I,
out.
was-
He
I
was.
was I was thinking you were Peterson based on what happened and based on what you just explained. But why
Well,
why
like I
was it
said,
not prior?
I think he was outfoxed. To be honest with you, um, Peterson was the first ball after lunch. I mean, yes, I had a good stretch and everything like that, so it wasn't really a loosener. But I
Mhm.
think he played a little bit early, played around the ball. I didn't think the ball did as much as that as it seemed. But McFire was outfoxed, to be honest with you. Just bowling there, taking his hand away from him a little bit, and he was going. Then I said, okay, yes, this is the time for an half cutter because I realized he was playing a little bit away from his body. So
Mhm.
it's about getting the ball to see if I could breach the gap between the gate, and it did happen.
Work to perfection.
It was to perfection.
Tell me about the Collingwood dismissal, because almost nobody realized that he was also except you and the wicketkeeper. Because the ball like he spun behind him and clipped the leg stump, and the bill was dislodged. He didn't even realize it.
Well,
Was
let me
that
tell
something
you,
that you? Yeah, tell me how that worked. How that went.
that one, it actually got me as well. On the TV, it seemed as if I knew, but look, I was about to turn to appeal for an LBW. But for whatever reason it worked because he was running up and down the wicket as well. And I think Flintoff had to remind him that this look, your bail is on the ground. Xavier Marshall ran across to me and pointing out that you hit the stump, so why are you appealing? Because it happened so neatly that not even he realized that it hit the stump.
Tell me, we're going to get to the six performance against Australia, but was this your best bowling performance playing for the West Indies?
Yes, I think that's the best one. Five, I
Mm.
think it's 5 for 11. Yes, that's the
Yeah,
best. That's the
nine
best
overs,
playing for
four
West
wickets,
Indies.
five in 11.
Yeah,
I mean, that was other than the fact that Australia won the test where it took six for 47, was it how you got those wickets? Because against the Australians, you bowled very well for those. I think you took the first five or six wickets against Australia in a team where Singh made
yeah. It
199.
took Steve Smith. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that vividly. Like yesterday, it was one that was work again. And it is brain power into that. Along with skill set as well. I could remember bowling to Michael Clark, and I was merely bowling leg cutters, and he was saying swing. I was like, okay, you're not picking. You thought this ball is swinging, but that's fine, you know. So there again, I could remember even Shane Watson. He was set up, and after the innings, he came into the dressing room and was like, "How did you get that done?" And I was like, "I was actually looking for you to leave the ball, and yes, you started leaving the ball. So the minute you start to put your bat above your head, I know, yes, this is the time for me to track back the ball because the ball was
Mm.
leaving the bat very nicely, and he didn't want to play. But that was my aim for him to start to leave the ball. And when he's leaving the ball like that, with the bat over your head, and know once the ball start tracking back, by the time you see it, then you wouldn't be able to come down again. So then again, these are the clues you look for when you're working and you're trying to set up a batter. You know what I mean? You have to work, and it's not gonna happen in 1 over or 2 over. You have to be patient enough in test cricket to know, look, I can bowl 2, 3 overs of outswinger just to set up for an in swinger. You have to get
Mm.
the batsman in the way that you want them before. You don't want to show them your hand. You don't want to be doing in swing, out swing at the same time, showing yes, I can do both. No, you have to be strong mentally. You have to be mentally ready as well because they're out there for you as well. So once you start showing your hand too early, then you're allowing the batters to play a little bit more tighter.
Mm.
You're reminding them that, look, I have the ammunition so I can do both, so be careful. No, you want to think, okay, this is just outswing only I can do. But no, you can't.
Jerome, you strike me as I have this conversation with you know. You strike me as a bowler who was very strategic in his approach to the game in a way in which you don't get the impression that a lot of the current players are doing. And this is not a criticism of them. I'm just making a comparison because the way you analyze how you were bowling against the English and against the Australians and how you articulated how you got Matt Pryor out, was that a consequence of you remember at the top of the show you mentioned you were rubbing heads with a lot of the West Indies players. Was that as a consequence of interacting with these guys and understanding how the thinking works at this level that gave you the ability to be able to analyze and work out batsmen the way you did?
Yes, indeed. Like I said, with those players and when I joined the West Indies team, I had the privilege of playing under the captaincy of Brian Lara, who I think is a genius at cricket as well.
Mm,
Someone who would go in depth in terms of planning, and how you work cricket out. So yes, you would sit down, you would talk cricket, you would plan, you try to execute the plan as well. But
mm,
if I should say something to you that would be very surprising, that a lot of things that I've learned in cricket, I must say before I get to that Corey Carnivore, who played a very integral role in my development and my mission moving forward in cricket as well. He's one who have a very strong head and a cricketing brain as well, who
mm,
I have interacted with a lot. He took me under his wing as a smaller brother or a son, should say. Um, he used to have us in the pool every morning before cricket and every evening after you play, just to make sure that we're taking care of recovery and everything like that, you know. But with that said, I've learned a lot of stuff from batsmen as a fast bowler because each and every time that I'm in the net, Chris Gale is one, he would tell you. I've always asking him questions because he's one of the most destructive batsmen we have in the West Indies at
mm.
the time. So whenever I'm bowling against him, it is an interaction. I would always ask him, what am I doing? What do you think I could do differently? You know? If a bowler slow a ball, he pick it. What is it that you pick? Why you would still execute a shot? I
Mm-hmm.
could remember a time we're talking about that, and he would say, okay, maybe you deceived me, but it was a little bit too full. So maybe if you had gone into the pitch, then I wouldn't be able to read that. So these are the things that I think nowadays bowlers need to talk with batters as well, because I think they would get more from the batters than they would get from a bowler. A bowler would
Mm-hmm.
actually tell you what he's doing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can do it the same way as
Yeah.
that bowler.
Or
You
that bowler is
understand what
doing
I'm
the
saying?
right thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, the bowler will do it, probably get through, as well as we have some of our bowlers who bowl but would not be able to explain how they got it done. You understand? So talking to batters sometimes it does help because they can give you a better understanding as to the line I think you should bowl, the length you would bowl to a particular batsman. And then that helps you put that into your armory. You could work with that and keep on asking questions as you go along. It's about how can we help each other to get better at what we do,
Mm-hmm.
to work for the one common cause, which is to win.
You did some extraordinary things with the ball, huh? But one of the things that I think a lot of people remember about you is that 100 against New Zealand. I think it was 106 off 108 balls with like 17 fours and three sixes. Talk to me about the day, Jerome, because nobody saw that coming. West Indies were like 100 and something for six. You came to the crease and just took on the bowling. Was it deliberate or was it one of those situations where it's a flash in the pan?
Well, let me tell you, I I I got to that point where I can say it was one that was forced. I don't know if my good friend Darren Paul would remember the day we were in the West Indies team and he told me that I will never to be able to bat before him in the West Indies team. And that sent me in a mode where every opportunity I get to have a hit, I would go and bat and I would take it very seriously. So he started out as a batsman. I myself at college school in Jamaica, I was a batter more so than a bowler. But as I went along, I got the love for fast bowling and I went in pursuit of being a fast bowler. But yeah, Darren Powell had sent me in that mode where telling me that I will never be able to bat before him. And I accepted the challenge, which I ended up did. I batted a couple numbers ahead of him, but in that particular game, on the day of the warm-up, it was very cold to be honest with you. In
Mhm.
Dunedin. It was very, very cold and we were doing our feeling and catching and stuff like that. But at one point I realized I was the only one that left out there catching. When that ball hit your hand, you feel like there's somebody stabbing you in your hand.
Yeah, man, I
And I
know it's
was
when it's
I
cold.
was the only one that was left on the field catching the ball at the time. And I stopped and I said to myself, I'm gonna do something special. But I kid you not, I did not thought of doing it with the bat. But I knew I was going to do something special in the game. The feeling was there, everything was there, you
Mm,
know. And yeah, I went out to bat and I met Shiva at the wicket. So to score 100 there, it was never on the card as well either. But who would be that person to
mm.
score it with, if not Shiv? Mr.
Yeah.
Reliable, the person who is gonna bat from now until probably next week if you ask him to,
Yep.
So yeah, I went out and I realized most of our players, Daniel Vittori was getting the ball to straighten to the right handers and everyone was playing for spin.
Mm,
So I sat there inside and I could watch on the screen that we have inside that most of our LBW decision is just a straight ball going in. So I developed my own strategic move to approach him when I went out to bat, which I was gonna put my foot alongside the ball and let the bat come in line with the ball. And my line of defense was if the ball is in my half, I'm gonna have a go at it. I back myself most times to play straight because I have a very good hit straight. So for me, if you're in my half, look, I'm not gonna go down wandering here. I'm gonna play my shot.
mm.
And I started like that, and by the time I know I was in my 40s,
Yeah.
and yeah, got a little bit nervous there, approaching the first half century in your test career. So yeah, but after I went to 50 again, I was like, I have nothing more to lose. They took a new ball, and I said, look. as a fast bowler. If you took a new ball here, what to expect? I know that they're gonna bowl like a short ball, they're gonna this, whatever. So my line of defense again, yes, you could bowl short, but if you're in my art, I'm gonna have a go again. And the gas was on again. And the next thing I know, I'm in my forties. I'm in my nineties. So
That is,
nervous, nervous nineties again. I had a couple player misses, and then again, the full ball was there again, like a player miss. From it was James Franklin left-hander going across me, and I tend to play a little bit too straight, and I was like, why am I missing this ball? You know, by just looking to play straight. So I said, okay, going across, maybe I need to go a little bit squarer. So said, so done. I went a little bit squarer at the ball game through the gap four. I cannot tell you to celebrate or not to celebrate. I don't even know what it felt like, but you know, it was unreal to be honest with you. I went back to my room after that, as you saw on the screen that everyone was outside, even though it was cold. They came out just to, celebrate the 100. And yeah, like I went back to my room, I was there like, is it real? Yes, I have a test 100.
yeah.
So it just goes to show that as a player, everything is possible because I could remember Jason Gillespie scored a double century. So
Mhm.
why couldn't I? You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So I mean,
Question. With all of the accomplishments that you had with the ball and that test century, when you sit back and think about it, which of them is the most special one to you? The 100 or the 5 wicket and 6 wicket calls, the 1995 in match hall, the hat trick against Australia in the Champions Cup?
well, let me tell you, to be honest, the 100 is gonna be the one because nobody expected it, not even myself. As I sat here tonight talking to you, I wasn't expecting that as well. You know what I mean? Everybody expecting Jerome Taylor to do good things with the ball. But if you ask them, Jerome Taylor is gonna score 100, people would probably laugh at you, you know what I mean? So, I mean, when I start and I reminisce on that, I think I would give that one the
Mhm.
moment that stood out, except for the day that I made my test debut.
Tell me something. Do you carry these memories around with you, or do they come out when you're doing interviews like this? Is that something that, like, for example, you're at work one day or whatever it is that you're doing, and a memory from one of these occasions comes back to you, or is it just that, like, when a journalist like myself will try to talk to you about those events, then they come back to you? Do they linger in your memory?
Well, to be honest with you, no, I'm a real human being. I am not so much a statistician, so to
Mhm.
speak. But yeah, I have memories that lingers and performances that stuck with me and will stuck with me for a long while. But I'm not one who's gonna tell you, okay, I remember I played a test match there or two there. I could tell you every detail
Mhm.
in some of the games, but I could give you some instance of some of the games. But you have people who are very good at telling you from first test to the last one that they play.
Mhm.
I think I have so many other things try to think about.
Yeah, but so you know, do you ever see yourself like? I know a lot of the veterans have gone back and supported that the West Indies from a coaching perspective. Is that something that you think is in your future you'd want to be able to, give back in terms of maybe going in and giving some advice and some support to the coaches because I mean, as you mentioned, we have some good bowlers now. I mean, the Josephs. I mean, Jaden Seals, I think, is a really good talent. You have Greaves and you have Moti and others who are they're holding their own. Do you see yourself eventually one day putting up your hand and say, "Listen, can I come in and help with helping to guide some of these guys?"
Well, let me tell you, I'm passionate about the game and I'm a West Indian, to be honest with you. Yes, it hurts sometimes to see the state of the game, but look, I once was a player, so I know what it's like. I do think that every player is going out there trying their hardest best, to really give a good performance for themselves and for the country. Because when you go out, you're not just playing for the country, you're representing yourself as well.
Hmm.
You're representing your family and you're representing every member of the West Indies. So I honestly think sometimes that they're trying, but it's just that they're not getting everything right. And as a person, I'm not too big and worried about who fails or whatever, because I could tell you that you can learn so much from failure than you would learn from a victory or
Success.
success,
Mhm.
but it's how much is how you take it on to yourself and what you try to improve on.
Mhm.
Because failure is going to take you back to the drawing board, but your success is going to take you to the celebration street where you go to celebrate, and then you forget about what you did good yesterday and what you could improve on. But your failure is going to take you back to that point where, oh, what do I need to do better? How can I get better at this? How can I get better at that? But a lot of us, I think we have the fear to fail, and that is what is hampering us. We're not giving the best of ourselves. You go out on the field and the fear to fail, you're so tense that you're not letting yourself grow. You're not giving yourself the best opportunity to perform, you know? So really and truly, I would not be one to come out and bash the players about this and the players about that. It is your personal pride that you will take into your own preparation. You have the coaches there, in Sammy and Ravi as the bowling coach, who I have high regards for, who I think have a very good cricketing head on his shoulders as well, just as Sammy does. But the onus will have to be on the players as well. You have
Mhm.
to take that personal pride in yourself. You have to make that change, the mindset that you need to go about your work, the attitude towards it. Because like I said, if you look at a player now and you tell them, okay, if you ask a player what is your strength, what would they tell you? Somebody's gonna tell you, oh, the pull shot, the cut shot. What is your weakness? Oh, I cannot pull or I cannot cut. I would not go down that street. Your strength is your mindset.
Mhm.
For me, that's how I look at it. And your weakness is your attitude, the attitude that you have towards work, the attitude that you use to go about getting stuff done. If you're not willing to do it, to make the change, to grind, to get the right the good things out of practice, then you know it's all on you. The
Yeah.
coaches would come there, could feed you with all the information, but if you don't take it on to do the work and to let yourself be a better person, then honestly, you'll be turning up to practice 5, 6 hours. But what do you go away with? How much do you take away from it? You just get
Well,
there, oh, coach said to bat, so you're gonna bat some balls for the next half an hour. But what do you take away from practice after the half an hour?
yeah, Jerome, trust me, we're all the time, but I thank you so much for your vision and your wisdom and your analysis. Really enjoyed the chat, and of course, wishing you all the best with whatever you choose to go on and pursue, whether it's coaching or whether your cause is something else. Because I
Well,
think,
yes, I think I didn't answer the question because I got caught up into that. Yeah, as far as giving back and coaching, yes, I have been working along with the West Indies A team as well. So
okay,
I started my journey of giving back, and I will be working with the nine teams in the not too distant future. So yeah, I am about giving back to the West Indies as well,
all right, boss, give thanks
and
and thank
Jamaica and all.
yeah, man, thank you so much for that. And of course, looking forward to hearing more from you because if they take on what you're able to pass on to them, I think success will not be far away. Huh?
All right, thanks so much. Thanks a lot,
Yeah,
Liam.
man.
There it is, lovely drive. That should be enough. It's heading to the boundary, and that is a tremendous century from Jerome Taylor.
Just cannot afford to go leg side with a man standing inside the ring at short fine. Bowled in!
The West Indies have bowled themselves back into this game. They have it to win. Australia need 21 from 13 balls.
Wrapped around the band, yes, it must be out, yes. What a wonderful...
This one hitting Brett Lee in front of middle, beating him for pace. A man fixing a pipe couldn't be plumber than that.
So Australia 214 for 8. Lee goes without scoring. So it's Taylor to the rows of the crowd. Bowled in!
Thank you so much. And of course, guys, I hope you enjoyed the chat. Of course, We'll be back again soon with another video. And of course, remember to subscribe and like the channel. Mr. Analyst is always here to bring you information and interesting chats like this with Jerome Taylor. So I want to say thanks again for joining us. And of course, leave your comments below. And remember to subscribe. Bye-bye.